Okay, so welcome everybody to Chillasana for 2021. Here we are, and what's so important about Chillasana at the moment is my little running joke, some of you will have already heard me say it, is 2021 didn't get the memo. It was the memo to slow that down and it didn't get the memo. And we've all hit the road running, and it's like this super surprise thing. Like, why are we having to run to keep up with life? I thought it was going to be different after COVID, and it's not different. So we really do need to take time out for ourselves, because not only are we seeming to be running at a similar pace that we were previous to COVID, but we've got all the agitation and change and transformation that's taking place within inside us and within our community and collectively. So that's extra draining, because a lot of stuff is being brought to the surface to be shown to us, so we can be very clear about what change is required. So these more relaxed practices are going to be really important. So what you'll need for tonight's class is a pussycat. If you've got one, please do take it. And she always has to get in a bit on the action. And we're going to use a bolster and a block, and you might like a cushion or something else that you might have. I love my little bolsters here. If you don't have those things, don't panic. Just see if you've got some thick blankets that you can fold, or some firm pillows or cushions that you can use, and just prop yourself up that way. You will be able to see and modify, particularly for those of you who are doing this later. You can pause and go and get what you need if you're unsure. So we're working on the chakras for the first 6 weeks, for our first 6-week block. And again, I think this is such a good time. Our chakra system may have had a little bit of a jolt, because everything has become quite unstable and uncertain. And so, of course, this can lead us to, you know, just some imbalances. And because some of it might be quite deeply embedded, that needs to come to the surface and be changed and stuff, then this is such a great little system to work with, to rebalance and rediscover what's needing attention in your life. So if you don't know what the chakra system is, I will just quickly give you, we only have an hour in this class, so it's going to be surface level, right? The practice is going to be the main course. But I consider the chakra, the chakra system to be like our spiritual anatomy or our subtle anatomy. The chakras are energy centers within the body, and there are actually probably something like 114 chakras in the body, but we generally, I think 2 of those are outside the body, one on top, one on beneath us. But we really look at the main 7 ones that we find along the spine. And these cannot be physically seen, like, you know, they're more subtle in nature than that. However, they do relate to the endocrine system. So they have, you know, the nerve plexus and these sort of places in the body is where they're sort of sitting and what they're influencing. So it does have a physical, you know, connection, but it's really about the nervous system and about where the energy flows. So that super highway along the spine where all the nerves are as well, it's relating to all of that sort of stuff, and that's where it comes. In yoga, we call it the nadis. In the Chinese tradition, it will be the meridians, but these are main center points or energy vortexes that a lot accumulate here. So not just physically, but how we are mentally, emotionally, how we, you know, the habits that we form and the beliefs that we form, and our little techniques and ways of getting through life have been formed in the chakra system. And then that's how we play out these, you know, habits or behaviors and beliefs. So it's like a little map into our psyche. and how it can then develop into our physicality and how we might be holding ourselves because of certain chakras, you know, the way that the body might bloat or form or deform according to the chakras, and whether it's, you know, overactive or underactive, or, you know, that balance of, what's the word? Too much or not enough. Too much going on, you inflate it, or not quite enough, you shrink into it. So these are the sort of imbalances, and often you get them together. A little bit inflated on this bit and a little bit deflated here. Anyway, so the first chakra is Muladhara. This is the root chakra, found right at the base of our spine, right at the tip of our tail, and way in between, like the yoni and our anus. Or I don't think there's any men here, the gonads and the anus. So really you can feel it by squeezing or pulsing your perineum and that sort of diaphragmatic muscle right down the bottom of the pelvis. And this is really the seat of Muladhara. So when it comes to working Muladhara in a yoga practice, we're working from the hips down. We're working with slow, grounded, static posture. It's not that we don't move, you know, once we're in place, or we don't flow a little. So, you know, but it's very grounded. It's very slow because its element is earth. And so we move like the earth and we stay connected to the earth. So without much further ado, let's come into our first pose of the evening, where we're going to come into Shabala Balasana, the supported child's pose. And I would just try and improve that visual for you. So there's a few ways you might like to get into this as well. You might like to have a pillow or something under your bum if it lifts off and it's in the air and it feels a little uncomfortable. You might like more things propping up or more things on top to prop up. If you've got any belly ache or period pain or anything like that, you could fold a little something here and then push into it. Not great if you've just recently had dinner like I have. So then we can just lay down, snuggle in and get comfortable. Placing one cheek to the side, because we will change sides. And then just begin the relaxation process. Begin by simply allowing your body to begin to relax and rest and find its own comforts. So don't be in a rush to be static. You can really definitely take your time to get fully aligned, fully embedded into the bolster. And then begin to take some sweetly deepened inhalations through the nose and soft exhalations through the mouth. And just keep with that for a few rounds. The inhalation just coming in as like you're creeping into your home after midnight and you don't want to disturb anybody, but you want to go deep into the house. So beginning to really fill out those dark spots and areas in the home. Little sweep out, a little dusting with the exhalation. And allowing those breaths also to really begin to sharpen your awareness, your inner awareness. The inhalation, drawing in the awareness, lighting up the inner body. And the exhalation, releasing, like a clearing out, getting rid of the clutter. So you can see or feel more clearly what's going on, how you're feeling. And whenever you're ready, you can either continue to breathe in a slightly different way, just purely through the nostrils. Or you can let go of any effort with the breath and allow the natural, gentle breath to draw in and out of the body. And as you begin to settle and rest into a slightly clearer, cleaner feeling body, begin to take your awareness right down into the base of the body, to the bottom of the pelvis. And just feeling the sacral plate and how that turns into the coccyx. And the coccyx just gently curving inward into the body. And its downward motion. Feeling perhaps the pubic bone on the other side. Breathing into the space between the coccyx and the pubic bone. Just for clarity, really, to start with, just for connection, for beginning to understand the region. If you're a little more advanced, if you've done this work before, you can, of course, go in a little deeper with your own knowledge. As I said, Muladhara is the root chakra, where we begin our life. And its color is red, like a really deep, vibrant, earthy red. And it governs our basic needs, our basic survival needs. So as I chat, you might like to simply inhale to lift the heads and exhale to take the cheek in the opposite direction. Making yourself comfortable as you do. So as you gently breathe into this area, and perhaps you like to visualize a beautiful, vibrant, red ball of energy spinning. Just notice anything about that visualization or the sense of it if you don't visualize. And just notice the speed, the vibrancy, the direction at which it spins. And a balanced Muladhara will have you feeling secure and safe, healthy, vital, trusting. Your body will function optimally and your weight will also reflect that. An imbalance here may create anxiety, fear, worry, excessive worry. You may feel unsafe or insecure financially. You may be a little greedy, materialistic. Or perhaps you mistrust people. So as we breathe into this area, just noticing anything that comes up for you, images, thoughts, feelings, as you begin to get clear on what this chakra governs in your life. And then before we leave, I'd like you to begin to breathe as if you're taking the inhalation, starting from the coccyx, the tail, and breathing all the way up. You could even straighten the head and place the forehead onto your bolster to feel this clear line, the inhalation riding up from the tail through the spine into the crown. And the exhalation dropping back down from the crown all the way to the tail. And just repeating it a few times. And then, as you're ready, simply take the hands so they sit under your shoulders. And you can just begin to press yourself up in a slow manner. Just noticing anything that needs your attention throughout the spine as you begin to gently stretch or wriggle in any natural, spontaneous way for yourself. It's releasing through the neck, the shoulders, the spine. And then as you're ready, let's just place the bolster out of the way for now. And maybe anything else that we have. And come onto your hands and knees. So Muladhara, the element of earth, also relates specifically to the bones of the body. I mean, all the physicality of the body, of course, but specifically the bones, the structure, the one that gives you form, the hardest thing in your body. So line up your skeletal system nicely, shoulders over the wrists, buttocks or hips over the knees, and the feet in line. You might like to, just to start with, shake out those poor little squashed feet, because we do look specifically at hips, legs, and feet. So of course, ankles and knees come along with that. Just releasing any tension or deadness that created. And as you're ready, coming back into neutral, into the center, and take a nice full inhalation. And as you exhale, begin to round the spine, dropping the head and tail, and push back a little bit so you feel your buttocks come a little bit more towards the heel.
But keep the hands firmly grounded into the floor and let the head go completely. So we're pulling back a little. And then as you're ready, take an inhalation, come back to neutral through the center and continue up. Rolling the sit bones up, lift the chest and chin. Press the hands into the floor and begin once again to pull the sit bones back towards the heels, but the hands are pressing firmly into the floor and almost towards your knees, so there's no way you're going to actually drop your hips down. So it's an inner battle more than it's a obvious external thing. And then exhale as you're ready. Dropping the head and tail, rounding through the spine, and once again, just pushing back. So you really not just round through the shoulders, but you can really feel that beautiful stretch in the lower back. Any pinching through the sacrum, lower back, lumbar area, you can feel that nice release. And then once again, as you're ready, pushing forward again. So we come into neutral and inhale, roll up. And as you begin to drop the ribs down and roll the sit bones and chest up, pull back a little and begin to really firmly press those hands into the floor. So you can really feel the front body open and the back body, particularly that lumbar area and just beginning of the thoracic, getting a nice little squeeze. And then coil in, belly into the spine, drop the head and tail down. Last round here, push back a little, push the hands into the floor and forward. As you can maybe have a little rock back and forth, like this micro rock. And then when you're ready, just use an inhale to release out of there into neutral. And let's start this slight sway of the hips from side to side. So as you begin to sway the hips from left to right in slow motion, really begin to tune into the snake-like quality of the spine and feel that sequential flow of movement riding up each vertebra from the tail, from the coccyx, all the way into your crown, if you can. And then as you come back to the center once again, let's just keep it in the hips, imagining your tail as like a piece of chalk that you can draw a beautiful circle on the wall behind you. So it's nice to really just close your eyes or have a half gaze and just really tune into the physical experience of the movement. And change the direction when you're ready and just notice how that feels, how that changes the experience of the body. And if there's any sharpness or pinching through not just the lower back, but the joints of the sacrum. And then just finishing off with anything that feels nice for you, any little play. Maybe what you really want to do is get into the shoulders. Maybe what you really want to do is get off the wrists. And if you would really like to get off the wrists, then you can just come and sit down on your knees and have a little play through the wrists. And you could even continue a little dance with the spine. So just whatever feels good for you. Because though we have focus on the lower half of the body, we certainly don't want to forget the neck, the shoulders, the arms all together. So as you're ready, you can come and sit back on your heels. And if you haven't already released through the wrists, then you can take that opportunity. And you might like to take an inhale once again from the tail, boring down into the earth,
up and along the spine, out through the crown. That's the nice long inhale as you're ready. And then on the exhale, you're going to just drop the chin in towards the chest. You're going to slightly begin to pull those shoulders back so you can find that nice little subtle that or maybe intense stretch in the back of the neck. Hold yourself upright by drawing your lower belly in and up. And then just a little swing of the chin from side to side. And then just lifting the chin up through the right side, across to the left and down through the left side and across the chest. So rotation 1 or 2 times more in that direction, followed by 2 or 3 rotations in the opposite direction. Staying completely present in the experience, because this sense of presence, this being in the physical body, this embodied practice is an expression of Muladhara, of a healthy, balanced Muladhara, when we can really presence ourselves, to really be present. No body escaping, no escaping from the body. So from there, we're going to kick out our feet and we're going to come and sit on our thumb. And just hang out here for a moment. You can just lean into your feet and, into your hands. And again, if you need to just release through the ankles, please do. You know the score. Most of you have been with me for a long time, and you know that you can just do what feels right for you whenever it feels right. So the feet are nice and wide, probably as wide as your mat. So at least your little toes are touching the corners. Obviously, I'm working with a round mat, so I can't demonstrate that. We take an inhale, lengthening and lifting a little up into the chest. And as we exhale, we're going to dip the right knee down towards the floor or to the floor. And then inhale, lifting that back up. And as you exhale, just dropping the left knee in. And then inhale back up. And just repeat it a few times in your own timing. You don't have to rush through anything. Just be aware of the depth at which your body's willing to go, and also the different sides. My left side, not quite so happy to do that. Oh, yeah. So you might like to stop and hold somewhere along the line. Particularly if you've got a sticky bit. And then as you're ready, we're going to drop, what are we going to do? We're going to drop our knees down to the left-hand side and then just take them out to the right. Does that make sense? Drop them to the left and then take them to the right side. So your left shin is in front of your torso and the right foot is just sitting behind or beside your right hip. Try and find the length in the spine, the groundedness. Here we have this little right hip. Don't get too carried away or caught up in it. You know, at some point we just need to let it go a little bit. Yeah, I know it's tricky, but when we first come to it, it's hard, I know. But try and enjoy the practice and not get too distracted. Yeah, sorry. It's nice to see you, but it's not worth it if it's gonna take you away. Yeah. Okay, so this right hip might be a little lifted, but that's okay. We're just going to ground it to the best of its ability. You know, in the root of some trees, it's actually, you know, lifted a little and then the root comes back down. So there's areas where it may not be connected to the earth, but it's still the roots, right? Still part of the root system. And so we're going to have that experience here with that right leg if it's not grounded. Mine certainly is A little bit of space there. So we're going to take an inhale as we lengthen up through the spine. And as we exhale, we're going to take the right hand onto the left knee. That left hand comes behind us, and we can just turn to look over that left shoulder. Try not to over effort here. I want you to sit in comfortably, just to take a comfortable place with it. And you might notice that that right back hip is going to lift off again a little bit. So that's okay. Just try and keep a little bit of an eye on that, or this sense of balance between what is overlifting and what is a reasonable lift, a reasonable amount of giving. So looking over that left shoulder, breathing into the body, and seeing if we can breathe all the way down the spine now, from the crown all the way to the tail. In this sort of, it might feel a little bit more like a spiraling action. And just relaxing all the way into your hips. Trying to feel relaxed, safe, okay in your own body. Not over-efforting anything. It's finding the breath, a gentle rhythm. Either you're still breathing all the way down through the spine, from the crown to the tail, or you can just breathe naturally, but just keeping that connection of awareness of breath and body. And then one more breath in. The exhalation will slowly release us out. And as we come to turn around, we're simply going to extend that right leg out. And that right leg is out on an angle. So we're doing a Dhanusashasana variation. I actually don't know if this has a separate name. I'm just calling it that. I should have looked it up. Maybe Susie can tell us. So find your roots. The root system, not just the tail, but we're finding the two sit bones, those round knobbly bits that we can smooch into the earth beneath us. I often imagine myself on dampened sand so I can really feel the compactness of what's underneath me, but also this ability to groove it, to have this sense of malleability. I just made up a word. I can't think it's a real thing. So it's changeable, you know, maneuverable. We're simply going to take the inhalation to lengthen up through the spine, and as we exhale, slide the hand down the leg, so we're leaning into that right leg, and then inhale to come back up, and exhale to slide back down. And just be curious with the body, with the back of the leg, with the hips, with the spine, the sideways of what's available to you. Try and keep a certain amount of activation happening in the back of that leg in particular, like you're actually kicking out into the heel, and then it's like a watercress, you know, coming up and then those toes pulling back a little. And then next time we're going to inhale, take the arm up, the left arm up, and exhale. And you can hold it there, or you can really, if you find it very uncomfortable, you could make some little rotations with the arm. And you could even sit it a little gently on the heads. Sometimes we hold the head, but that's a whole different thing, working a little bit more gently. And even if being here is too much, with perhaps a little tap on the head with the hand, you could also place that hand on the hip. So lots of options. Keep rooted, and now we find the lightness might come in the left hip, the left sit bone. So try and ground down there. We're pinning down through the right sit bone as well, shooting out to the right heel and lifting that right knee and thigh, engaging it so it's being slightly drawn up towards there. Take a breath here. And use an exhalation to slowly release that arm forward and down and let it take you back up. Maybe that's another inhale, you know. Sometimes when I work super slowly, it's not inhale and exhale, it's inhale half, exhale, you know, inhale up, exhale the other half. So you can really use the breath in a way that supports you. We're simply going to bring this right leg in now, so it's sitting directly in front of us. And if you need to sit on a folded blanket, this is one I made up earlier, you can always place that underneath you for a little bit of support. It will certainly help lift you upward a little bit, so it helps the hips to push it up forward and in the right direction. So please take any support that you feel you need. Let's have the left hand on the left knee, or if this is hard for you to sit here upright, then we're going to place that left hand back behind us. So we're like staking ourselves up. So please place the hand where you feel it's most fitting for you. We're going to then use the inhale to ride up through that right hand and the exhale to lean forward. It might simply be that the arm just comes down and the left arm joins it. If you like, you can keep that left hand behind you and just slowly begin to find your way into the forward fold. Now remember, you don't have to be ambitious. You can just actually be comfortable, you know, nothing wrong with that. But the idea is not to come and collapse and bring your nose or forehead to your knee or your thigh, really rounding through the spine, but to try and find this length, this space through the spine and let it lead, let your heart lead you down all the way. So we're coming with a relative flat back until the hips are nicely, you know, folding from the hips, and then maybe there's that rounding, that flexion of the spine. So just work where it feels right for you without collapsing too much in the heart space. So we use the breath, a deepened rhythmic breath. Feed it into the body, just as letting it show you perhaps areas that are tight, that need support, that are struggling. The breath itself and your awareness may be enough support for the body, or maybe you need to make a little adjustment. Maybe you need to back out a little bit. And then slowly, as you're ready, we're going to use the inhale. And the inhalation lifts us up, and the exhale can just be this slow journey back to upright. And as you come upright, just tuck that right shin into a simple cross leg. And just for a moment, sit with your eyes closed or a soft downward gaze. The spine growing long out of your hips. And feel, I mean, your hips may feel uneven right now. It may really feel like one side is quite different from the other. And that's just because we've worked one side of the body and not the other. So you should be worried if you're not feeling that. I'm only kidding. You don't have to worry about it. But just breathing into that. Breathing into the body, breathing into the sit bones, breathing all the way down into Muladhara, that space. It sometimes to me feels like a little cushion right at the base of the body, this little spongy cushion. I don't know what it feels like for you, but try and sense into it if you've never connected or worked with this before. You know, just go with what feels like a connection or an understanding for you. As we place our hands on our knees, we're just going to sway from side to side and really allow that rooting system of the coccyx and the two sitting bones, and also your feet, your ankles on the floor, feeling that as your root system, like the root system of the tree. You might even like to imagine as you sway from side to side like bamboo, that the roots are actually growing from your body into the rich soil of the earth, giving you the nutrients that you need to feel grounded, cared for, stable. Really important things to be feeling this time on humanity. Coming slowly back to the center. You might like to lengthen up again on the inhale, and on the exhalation, simply lean a little forward. If you struggle with this and you had a bolster close by, you could, of course, lean into your bolster with your hands, you know, so that the floor is closer to you. And then breathe a couple of nice deep breaths into your buttock muscles. If you're not feeling a squeeze or a stretch in the buttock muscles, maybe you need to go a little deeper. And then slowly on the inhalation, bringing yourself back up. And from here, we simply take that left leg and place it out to the side, so the heel is coming out to the left hip. And we tuck in that right heel into the groin. That's where we started all that time ago. Find your roots and find your breath. And right now I'm using my fingers as an extension of my root system. You may not need to use that, but sometimes the hands alongside, and particularly sucking up into the heart of the hand, into the mound of the hand, can also be helpful. Take a breath as you lengthen up. You're rooting down, right, and lengthening up simply through the spine. And using the exhalation to turn over, left hand to the right knee, right hand behind you, and simply relax and soften there. Then the next inhalation can once again ride up through the spine. And the next exhale, we're just turning to look over that back shoulder and softening all the muscles around our spine, all our organs, if we can have a sense of that, while grounding down through the base of our body, through the base of our pose. And from here, you're either breathing as we did before, down from the crown to the tail, through the spine, maybe in this sort of sensing this spiral action of the breath. Or maybe you're simply allowing a more natural approach to the breath, breathing through the ribs, creating space. And any part of the body that the breath is sort of called to. So we take a nice inhale and we use the exhalation to slowly come back to the center. And simply lean into the right side so you can release that left leg. And we come to sit in our variation. Now, this left leg is a full extension of the root system. So find it in your sit bones and then grow it out into the back of the leg, into the heel. And this scooping up almost of the energy as it comes down the back of the leg and scoops back up as if the toes come pulling back. And that activates this upward pull of the front of the thigh, the front of the leg. And in that way holds us, like locks us in to a degree here. And that is the stabilization of this pose, right? It's really through there. So if you have this back hand here, you'll notice as you get to, most of you don't, like you're amazing. I need the back hand there, and you're all just hanging around, completely relaxed. This is nice. Okay, so I don't need to talk that one through so much. But if you did have the back hand there, you'll notice that you need a little bit of extra, lock in the belly to be hands-free. So just as we did before, we take the inhalation, right it up the spine, and the exhale as we just slide down that leg. And the inhale as we ride back up. A little caressing of our leg is not a bad thing to do as well. Touching and supporting ourselves through physical touch is hugely important for vital health. We don't always have to pay someone to give us a massage, We can just do ourselves sometimes. Okay, so why don't we take an inhale, reach the right arm up, and use an exhalation to begin to slide down. And again, if you just needed a little bit of extra releasing through that shoulder, you could have a little play there. Or if you don't, that's fine. But if it's all too much, you can just pat your head a little, just hang out, hand on the head. Or you could also have the hand on the hips. We're extending up and across and enjoying that. Rooting down perhaps a little bit more in that right hip now, as that's the one that gets a little light. Take one more breath, reaching into those two extended limbs, left leg, right arm. And as you exhale, bringing it down in front of you. And slowly using another inhale to lift yourself up. Land back in place. Head over the pelvis, shoulders over the hips. And just a small change in the way that we're sitting. So we're just bringing this leg in, this left leg. So now it's really in line with the hip. Yeah, we don't move it much, just a little bit. And then this foot might just need to move over a little bit. That's right. So again, you could have your hands staked up behind you, because I find that can be super helpful in helping lengthen out of the hips, the spine to lift out of the hips. You want that belly engagement, and that really is like a Muladhara effort, this slight contracting. It's a bandha, actually, this bandha, which is Muladhara bandha. Is it Muladhara? Something like this. Anyway, I digress a little, and the words are not quite there with me, but it is this energy lock right at the base, and we can squeeze it in and up a little to find this bolt that helps us come up through the spine and up through the heart, through the chest. And then that right hand on the right knee, the inhale as we lift that left arm, Let's do that. And exhale as we drop back down. And again, remember, we don't have to be ambitious. We do have to be comfortable. We may have come into that a little bit differently, but it's always good to try different things. Some things will resonate better for some of you than other things for others. So just begin to micromanage the pose. So as you close your eyes and begin to breathe gently into all the streams of your body, then just trying to find where there's a sense of flow and ease, where there is a sense of contraction and hardness or discomfort. And see if the contraction is necessary for holding you in place, or if it's just locking in with fear. This is this natural contracting to life or contracting to challenge that happens. It's a basic, primary response that we get. It's a Muladhara response. This basic fear, fight, flight instincts. Because Muladhara is related to the adrenal glands that fight flight. And so do release all the chemicals into the body that are related to that, to stress. So this is why it's important that we learn to let go of unnecessary tension in the body, not just for the Muladhara chakra, but for life, for ease of life, and for vital health. So taking one more breath there. Perhaps the exhalation or another inhale to slowly lift your way out of there. We were going to come and do the pigeon pose, which would be perfect for that, but naturally we've run out of time. So what we're going to do is simply come to lie back down on our backs, making yourself comfortable there. And to start with, let's plant the feet onto the earth. And as you gently press the feet into the floor, you can feel how pressing the feet into the floor can make the sacrum slightly lighter. So that's what we want to do. And I want you just to gently sway the hips from side to side. So with that slightly lightened approach. So the sacrum is just touching the ground. And as you wag your tail super slowly or sway your hips, you find this ever gentle massage happening around the sacrum, around the lumbar. And there's just so many nerve endings that start coming around there. So the sciatic nerve is also related to Muladhara. So just having a little bit of a play, you might like to imagine your sacrum like a disc now and just rolling around the edges of your disc. A little bit like a coin that's been spun, and just as it gets to its end throw, as it really begins to slow down and spin just on the edges, on the sides, then just imagining your pelvis, your sacrum doing that. And we change the direction for complete nourishment. And then you can just come back to the middle, hug the knees in.
Give them a little bit of a squeeze. Any slight wriggling that feels nice for you, you can do. Or you might like to simply open the knees enough that you can begin once again to rotate through the ankles so we can really release through those important joints, part of the body there, the feet that keep us connected to the earth, that ground us, that take us forward or get us out of a situation. And you might like to extend the feet up into the air. Oh, that feels so nice for the back of the legs. You can have a little play there. And you could widen the legs, let them just fall wide open and rock your legs gently from side to side, giving a nice little massage once again for the lower back, but also opens the hips and releases tension through the inner groin. And from there, you might like to hug the knees in and bring them under your underarms, grabbing hold of your ankles or the outer feet. And our beautiful wind releasing pose. And then from there, once you're done, you can take a moment or two longer there if you need it. You can bring the soles of your feet together. And I just grab hold of the ankles, lift my head until I can place the feet down onto the floor. If you can't do that, that's fine. Just let the feet drop to the floor, keeping the soles of the feet together. And if you needed something like blocks or cushions that go underneath the thighs to support you, we'll be here just for a couple of minutes. We're really needing to wind things up, actually. So we won't be here too long. But I'd like us to finish in Supta Konasana. Soles of the feet together, soles touching each other, and knees wide. You might like to walk the shoulder blades in towards each other just a little bit. Find the breath and begin to encourage the breath to come down all the way into the abdomen. And if you can have this sense that as you take the inhalation in, there's a flowering, there's an opening of the perineum. And as you exhale, a gentle contracting, drawing back in. So just a few rounds where you really focus on the natural pulsation of the perineum. And as you begin to sink in with its rhythm, we come back once again to our visualization of a beautiful, vibrant, red, spinning vortex of energy. You can begin to breathe the breath directly into your Muladhara, your version or vision of it. And we're gonna finish class off before we come directly into Shavasana for a few moments with the bija sounds of Muladhara. It is the mantra that is the condensation of the chakra in sound form. So it's incredibly healing and balancing for the chakra. So when we begin to chant this, I want you to channel the vibration of the chant into your Muladhara, into that area of the body. And even if you can, have that vibrating down through the hips, down the legs and into the feet. We'll just repeat it until it fades away. So just simply begin to join me when you're ready. The bija sound is lam. Lam, 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 lam. lam, 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 lam. Let the whole body rest. And if you need to, you can simply straighten your legs and take a moment in complete Shavasana. If you feel a strong pull to keep the legs as they are for the remaining minute or two, then please, by all means. Just keep a gentle awareness of the breath, whether it's natural or still a slightly deepened rhythm. Please only go with what the body is suggesting at this point. Force nothing to happen. And try and fill your entire awareness into the physical body. And that physical body in this state may be beyond the boundaries of your skin. But be present within your own boundary, your own sphere. And see just how relaxed and at ease you can be in your own skin. Just repeating the words silently in your own mind. I am safe. I am safe. And as you're ready, you can again invite the breath into the body. You might like to just gently wriggle fingers and toes, or any little movement, or simply roll on to a comfortable, uninjured side. If you don't want to get up, it's also okay, particularly if you're watching this on video. Please just stay for as long as you need to. So come back to a comfortable, seated, grounded, rooted posture. You might like to bring one hand to your heart and one hand sneaking it down. You can't see on camera.
as if you're going to sit on it. You might like to try that, actually sort of sitting on your hand around where the yoni is. If that doesn't feel comfortable for you, place it on the ground just in front of your pelvis. Breathe back into feeling, sensing, rooting down, grounding down, feeling the generosity of the earth beneath you, feeling her support, the support of all of those who love you and care for you, and the support of your own soul, your own being looking after your physical body, your well-being. And this week you might like to take a little sneaky look at your finances. Maybe you want to book yourself a holiday or begin to work out any flaws, anything that needs adjusting, not just in your finances, but perhaps in your kitchen. Maybe you need to throw out old food, go through the dates, make a few adjustments to any eating habits that are not serving you anymore. Spend time with the closest in your tribe. I didn't mention, but your tribe, your community, your family are also part of the Muladhara. Sleep well, rest well, and be in nature. Bringing our hands back together into prayer, bowing our head. Thank you all so much. Namaste. Thank you.